Well, since patch 12.12.30 has been out for almost 2 weeks, I figured I'd pop in and ask how everyone is doing and how their wipe's going. So far, it's not been bad for myself. Currently level 22, 23, I can't remember. But for the most part, still enjoying Tarkov, the wipe, in an early game. Although, to be fair, we are seeing the beginning of creeping into the mid-game, but it's still early enough. Anyways, so what's new? Well, a decent amount of stuff. We got the Lighthouse Expansion, which I haven't seen because I have neither attempted to go to it, nor have I ever played Lighthouse once this wipe so far. Sooner or later I will have to, but I'm trying to stay off that map as much as possible. Let's just say I have some grievances with the design of it and how the spawns work. We got new guns, which is always a good time, and the animation changes have been stellar so far. From a third-person perspective, they look so good and smooth, and it's as if someone who actually knows what they're doing with firearms and runs around with them on a daily basis. Granted, it wasn't like horrible before, but this feels much more natural and looks good even out to longer distances. Which was my personal biggest complaint with the old animations. It just looked like you were kind of reloading a gun, but not really when afar. But no, these are an awesome addition to the game. And the best part is that a lot of the actions can now be performed while running and not stopping. Before, you had to start a reload animation or something before you click the sprint button, but now you can just run and do it whenever you need to. So a pretty solid positive if you ask me. The only new gun I've messed with is the Benelli Shotgun, and oh man, that thing is sick. It feels so smooth and responsive, which is really welcome. You're seeing me use it here, and the ability to switch from pump to semi makes it so versatile. I honestly think this might be the best shotty in the game from what we have. The only issue right now with it is that you can't put a flashlight on it. Hopefully this is one of those yet situations where they add the parts necessary to do so later down the road, like they have with some other guns. Because once we can add tactical devices and foregrips to this gun, it'll easily be the best shotgun. No questions asked. I've seen the G36 online and I wasn't too impressed, and I guess BSG wasn't either because they've already buffed some of the base stats to make it handle better. Which is good because I saw some shit that was downright egregious in terms of recoil. I want to like the gun, but I will need to actually mess around with it before actually giving it a real verdict. The SV98 got some love too. All the animations are new and the gun model got adjusted. It feels much more like a sniper rifle now when you hold it. Before, the hand placement on the gun was okay, but it felt a little off. Makes much more sense now, and it even got new chassis too. It's so much more modular than before, and you can have such higher ergonomics, even with a suppressor. And it helps that the new bodies that you can add to it look really cool. So that gun is definitely going to get more use this wipe than before. Other than that, what else? Scab Quests are in the game now, which is cool. Makes it a little easier to get karma and rewards now that you have something to actually work towards instead of just getting loot. And one thing I've noticed is that quests have generally changed their behavior this patch. For example, when you do Signal Part 1 from Mechanic, before, you could hit each satellite dish one at a time, and even if you died, your progress was maintained if you got one. That's not the case anymore. You need to hit both in the same rate and not die for it to count. Otherwise, you need to do it over again. And that's not the only task that behaves like that now. Reserve from Jaeger does, and I haven't tried it, but I'm guaranteeing that Spa Tour Part 4 does the same thing with the generators in the resort. And speaking to these kinds of adjustments, 5.5.6 got better this patch a couple days ago. They buffed the flesh damage on almost all the rounds and took about no more than 1 pen off from them. Hopefully now these rounds feel a little bit better at range and don't feel like a wet noodle when shooting people in non-armored areas. And M80 is not on Peacekeeper level 2 anymore, it's level 3, which is this is gonna sound crazy, but I have been anticipating this change for 2 wipes now. I've literally told myself and my friends days before wipes that this change was gonna happen and that they were gonna bring it up to level 3. I'm glad I was finally right, but if I may, can we please get these kinds of changes day 1 on wipe, please? It's kind of annoying, because now some people bought a crap ton of it and others didn't, but, you know, I digress. I just wish those kinds of changes were adjusted literally on the day of the wipe and not like a weekend where they're like, oh, we gotta do this, let's do it right now. It's kind of annoying. Other than that, the game is pretty much the same. So how's your wipe been? Mine was kind of rocky at the start, but it steadied out somewhat and I got a little momentum right now, knock on wood. I can't tell a lie though, I was already feeling the fatigue earlier than I normally do, way earlier, which is just strange, but now that I have a crap ton of different tasks to do to occupy my time, it should go away. Tasks are nice, I just hate doing the exact same ones in the exact same order a million times. That's personally my biggest gripe. It's really just the order. If they mixed them up just a tiny bit, I'd feel better. But new ones and adjustments to older ones can always help facilitate the same feelings. Either way, these are all just paving the way for the biggest patch in this game's life, patch point 13. When that hits, oh man, I imagine the game's going to fundamentally change in every aspect, but until then, we'll have to just grind this game out with what we got and hope that they add more quality of life stuff in the future, as well as new guns and attachments and stuff like that. If you have any noteworthy stories from the first couple days of White, shout out in the comments. I'm sure myself and others would love to hear like the silly, goofy stories you get into with bad fights and VoIP and all that stuff. I'm curious, so if you have anything you want to share, sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope to see you in future ones.